Maya Chen is 7 months pregnant, lying awake at 3 a.m. when her phone buzzes with a security alert. Someone used a keycard at Derek's building after midnight. Her husband said he'd be home hours ago. She opens her laptop and pulls up the security footage from 2:17 a.m. Her blood freezes. There's Derek in the hallway with a stunning woman in a red dress, their bodies close, intimate. Then she watches the woman return alone, using a key to enter Derek's office like she owns the place. Maya stares at the screen, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. While she's been planning their baby's future, Derek has been planning something else entirely, with someone else. But here's the twist: Derek could never imagine that building he just gave his mistress access to Maya secretly owns it. The simple housewife making his breakfast every morning is actually the anonymous investor who controls his entire world. In this affair, it's about to uncover something far more dangerous than cheating. What Maya discovers next will destroy everything Derek thinks he's built and reveal who she really is. This pregnant woman is about to show her cheating husband what real power looks like. Trust me, you won't see this ending coming. Stay tuned. Maya Chen pressed her hand against her growing belly as she watched the security footage on her laptop screen. The timestamp read 2:17 a.m. Her husband Derek was handing a keycard to a woman in a red dress, their bodies close, intimate. The woman was Sophia Reeves, supposedly just another employee at Derek's tech startup. What Derek didn't know was that Maya owned 60% of his company through shell corporations. What he also didn't know was that every keycard access in the building sent alerts directly to her phone. Maya had been monitoring these alerts for months, telling herself it was just business security. But now, watching Derek laugh with Sophia in the empty hallway of what he thought was his building, she realized she'd been lying to herself. The apartment was silent except for the hum of Derek's multiple computer monitors. He'd been working late again, or so he claimed. Maya had fallen asleep waiting for him, only to wake at 3 a.m. to find his side of the bed still cold. She rewound the footage. Derek's hand lingered on Sophia's as he passed her the keycard. The woman looked directly at the camera for a split second, and Maya saw something that made her blood freeze. Sophia wasn't just looking at the camera, she was smiling at it, like she knew exactly who would be watching. Maya's phone buzzed with another alert. Keycard access, floor 12, executive conference room, Sophia's ID, at 3:23 a.m. Her pregnancy had been difficult lately. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Exhaustion that no amount of sleep could cure. Derek had been distant, claiming the stress of the upcoming IPO was consuming him. Maya had supported him through everything, even dropping out of her MIT PhD program in artificial intelligence to help him build his company. She'd written the original algorithm that made Derek's startup possible, the facial recognition software that was about to make them millions. But Derek's name was on all the patents now. Maya had insisted on it, wanting to support her husband's dreams. Another alert. Conference room access terminated. 47 minutes later. Maya closed the laptop and walked to the kitchen. Their smart home system activated the lights automatically. Recognizing her movement, she'd designed this system too, another one of her creations that Derek had marketed as his innovation. The refrigerator was full of Derek's favorite foods, carefully prepared meals she'd made despite her constant nausea. She'd been the perfect supportive wife, believing that love meant sacrifice. But love shouldn't feel like disappearing. Maya opened her secure laptop, the one Derek didn't know about. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced efficiency, accessing systems he'd never dreamed existed. Shell companies, investment accounts, patent applications filed under false names, her real work, hidden from the man she'd married. She'd been protecting Derek from the truth about her wealth, wanting him to love her for herself, not her money. But now, staring at the evidence of his betrayal. Maya wondered if she'd been protecting the wrong person all along. The baby kicked, a sharp reminder of what was at stake. Maya had planned to tell Derek everything after the birth, about her hidden fortune, about her real identity as a tech innovator, about the empire she'd built in secret while playing the role of devoted wife. Now she realized she might never get that chance. Derek Hayes arrived home at 5:30 a.m., moving quietly through the apartment. Maya pretended to sleep, watching through barely open eyes as he undressed in the bathroom. His shirt smelled like expensive perfume when he dropped it in the hamper. "Morning, beautiful," Derek whispered, sliding into bed beside her. His hand rested on her belly, and Maya felt sick for reasons that had nothing to do with pregnancy. "How did the investor meeting go?" Maya asked, her voice carefully sleepy. "Brutal. These Silicon Valley guys are ruthless, but I think we've got them hooked." Derek's voice carried that familiar note of excitement he got when talking about business. "The facial recognition software is revolutionary. We're going to change everything." Maya bit her tongue. The software was her creation, built on years of research Derek knew nothing about. She'd let him present it as his own, wanting to see him succeed. "Sophia was there?" Maya asked casually. Derek tensed almost imperceptibly. "Yeah, she's been invaluable with the technical presentations. Really gets the complex stuff." Maya knew Sophia had a Stanford MBA and a background in corporate intelligence. She'd done her research on every employee, as any good investor would, but Derek described her as just another analyst. "Maybe I should meet her sometime," Maya suggested. "She's pretty busy with the IPO prep. Besides, you know how boring these tech people can be." Derek kissed Maya's forehead. "You've got enough to worry about with the baby." The condescension stung. Derek constantly treated Maya like she couldn't understand his work, never knowing she understood it better than he did. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from James Wong, her business partner and the only person who knew her real identity. "Emergency meeting, 10 a.m. Derek was already in the shower, humming cheerfully. Maya dressed carefully, choosing loose clothing that hid her pregnancy and made her look younger, less threatening. She'd perfected this act over 3 years of marriage. James's office was in a discreet building downtown, nothing like the flashy startup spaces Derek loved. James had been her father's business partner and had helped Maya navigate the financial world after her parents died in a car crash when she was 22. "We have a problem," James said without preamble. He was a small, precise man in his 40s, with the kind of quiet intelligence that made him perfect for managing Maya's hidden empire. He slid a folder across his desk. Maya opened it to find photographs of Derek and Sophia, but not just the security footage she'd seen. These were taken at restaurants, hotels, Derek's car. They'd been having an affair for months. "There's more," James said quietly. "Sophia Reeves isn't her real name. She's Sophia Martinez, and she works for Nexus Corp." Maya's blood went cold. Nexus Corp was their biggest competitor, a massive corporation that had been trying to acquire Derek's startup for months. Derek had proudly refused their offers, not knowing Maya had been the one advising him to hold out for better terms. "Corporate espionage?" Maya asked. "Worse. She's been copying files from Derek's personal computer, your algorithm, Maya, the one that makes the facial recognition software work. She's been feeding it to Nexus piece by piece." Maya stared at the photos. Derek looked happy in them, relaxed in ways he never was at home anymore. Sophia was beautiful, confident, everything Maya had tried not to be. "How long do we have?" Maya asked. "The IPO is in 2 weeks. If Nexus releases a competing product before then, Derek's company becomes worthless overnight. Your investment disappears." $60 million. Maya's hidden stake in Derek's company represented most of her liquid assets. She'd believed in his vision, in their future together. "There's something else," James said carefully. "Derek's been meeting with divorce lawyers." The folder contained more documents. Legal consultations, asset evaluations, custody discussions. Derek had been planning to leave Maya after the IPO, when his shares would be worth the most. Maya felt the baby kick again, as if sensing her distress. Derek didn't just want to leave her, he wanted to take everything, including their child. "What do you want to do?" James asked. Maya closed the folder and stood up. "I want to know everything. Every meeting, every phone call, every lie." And James, "Yes." It's time Derek learned who he really married. Maya spent the next week living a double life. By day, she played the devoted pregnant wife, making Derek's breakfast and asking about his meetings. By night, she became someone else entirely. Her secret AI system had been recording everything in their smart home for months. Every conversation, every phone call, every moment Derek thought was private. Maya had originally designed it as a security measure, but now it became her weapon. "The pregnancy is making her more emotional," Derek said during a video call with Sophia. Maya watched from her hidden laptop as her husband complained about her from their own living room. "She keeps asking about meeting you. I think she's getting suspicious." Sophia's voice came through clearly. "Maybe it's time to accelerate our timeline. Nexus is getting impatient." Maya's hands trembled as she typed notes. Derek wasn't just cheating. He was actively helping steal her life's work. "After the IPO, I'll have enough to disappear completely," Derek continued. "Maya thinks she's getting half, but the prenup is ironclad. She'll get alimony, and that's it." "What about the baby?" "Custody battle. She's been unstable lately. All those pregnancy hormones. My lawyer thinks we can paint her as unfit." Maya ran to the bathroom and vomited, though she wasn't sure if it was morning sickness or horror. The smart home system tracked Derek's every move. When he claimed to be at investor meetings, he was at Sophia's apartment. When he said he was working late, he was at expensive restaurants, planning Maya's destruction over wine and dessert. Maya began documenting everything: screenshots, audio recordings, financial transactions. Derek had been transferring money to offshore accounts for months, preparing to vanish with both her technology and her child. But Derek had made one crucial mistake. He didn't know about Maya's real work. While he'd been building his startup with her stolen algorithm, Maya had been developing something far more advanced: a quantum-enhanced AI system that could predict and prevent corporate espionage. It was worth billions, and Derek had no idea it existed. "Mrs. Chen," James said during one of their secret meetings, "you could destroy him tomorrow, release the recordings, expose the theft, have him arrested for corporate espionage." "No," Maya said firmly. "If I move too quickly, Sophia disappears and Nexus denies everything. I need them to commit completely." "What are you planning?" Maya smiled for the first time in weeks. "Derek thinks he's playing chess, but I'm playing a completely different game." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Maya would let Derek and Sophia believe they were winning right up until the moment she revealed the trap. "The IPO presentation is in 1 week," Maya said. "Derek will be announcing the facial recognition software to investors, not knowing that Sophia has already stolen it for Nexus. But what if Nexus tries to release their version at the exact same time?" James raised an eyebrow. "Industrial sabotage." "Justice, Derek stole my algorithm and gave it to a corporate spy. I'm just making sure the real criminal gets caught." Maya had connections throughout Silicon Valley, investors and executives who owed her favors. It would be simple to leak Nexus's development timeline, to make sure the FBI's corporate espionage unit was paying attention. But first, she needed Sophia to steal the wrong algorithm. Maya began leaving fake files on Derek's computer, advanced-looking code that would actually crash any system that tried to implement it. If Sophia was copying everything, she'd copy this too. The baby kicked as Maya worked late into the night, designing the perfect trap. Her child deserved a father who was honest, loyal, and trustworthy. Since Derek had proven he was none of those things, Maya would make sure her child had something better. A mother who was stronger than she'd ever imagined. Maya's world shattered on a Tuesday morning. She'd been monitoring Derek's communications, expecting to find more evidence of his betrayal. Instead, she discovered something far worse. Derek knew about her money. The recording was from a phone call with his lawyer 3 days earlier. Derek's voice was calm, calculating, as he discussed Maya's family fortune and how to claim as much as possible in the divorce. "She thinks she's been hiding it, but I've known for months," Derek said. "The trust fund, the investment accounts, even the shell companies. My wife is worth about $200 million, and she's been playing poor to test me." Maya's legs gave out. She sank into her desk chair, the weight of the revelation crushing her chest. Derek had known. All his condescension. All his explanations about how she wouldn't understand his business world. All his casual dismissal of her intelligence. He'd known exactly who she was. "The funny thing is, she actually believes I love her," Derek continued. Sweet, naive Maya, just wanting to be loved for herself. She made it so easy. The lawyer's voice was tinnier through the phone recording. "What about the pregnancy? Perfect timing, actually. A child gives me leverage, and Maya's too soft to fight dirty. She'll give me whatever I want to protect the baby." Maya pressed her hands to her belly, feeling like she was going to be sick. Derek hadn't just discovered her wealth by accident. He'd been investigating her, probably since they'd met. Their entire marriage was a lie. The engagement story Derek loved to tell. How he'd fallen for her at a charity gala. How her kindness had captured his heart. It was all fabricated. He'd targeted her specifically because he'd known she was rich. Maya pulled up more recordings, going back months. Derek discussing her psychological profile with Sophia. How to keep Maya dependent and isolated, planning to move her away from her few friends after the baby was born, talking about her like she was a mark in a long con. "She's too trusting," Derek had said just last week. "Thinks everyone has good intentions, just like her. It's pathetic. Really." Maya's phone rang. James Wong's number. "Maya, we have a problem," James said immediately. "Derek just filed for emergency custody. He's claiming you're mentally unstable due to pregnancy complications." "What?" "He's got a psychiatrist who's willing to testify that pregnant women can become delusional, paranoid. He's painting you as a danger to the baby." Maya looked around their apartment, seeing it with new eyes. The smart home system she'd designed, the comfortable life she'd built, the careful way she'd hidden her true self to make Derek feel important. It was all evidence of her deception now. "There's more," James continued. "He's frozen the joint accounts, claimed you made unauthorized transfers. Maya, he's trying to cut off your access to your own money." "He can't do that. The accounts are in my name. The ones he knows about are joint accounts. He's arguing that since you hid your wealth, he can't trust you with shared assets." Maya realized Derek's strategy. Make her look unstable, cut off her resources, then swoop in as the responsible parent protecting their child from an unfit mother. "Maya, are you there? I'm here." Maya's voice was steady, but inside she was crumbling. "James, I need you to do something for me." Anything. I need you to disappear every trace of my real identity. Corporate records, investment accounts, everything. If Derek wants to play games with my money, let's see how he likes having no money to play with. Maya, I'm not going to let him destroy me and take my child. If he wants a war, he'll get one. Maya hung up and walked to the window overlooking the city. Derek thought he was so clever, so strategic. But he'd made one fatal error. He'd underestimated the woman he'd married. Maya wasn't the naive, trusting girl Derek thought he was manipulating. She was a tech innovator who'd built an empire in secret, who'd survived her parents' death and turned tragedy into strength. Derek wanted to see her paranoid and unstable. Maya would show him what real power looked like. Maya's hands shook as she signed the divorce papers. Derek sat across from her at the lawyer's conference table, wearing his most sincere expression of regret. I don't want this to be ugly, Maya, Derek said softly. For the baby's sake, we should try to stay civil. Maya almost laughed. Derek was performing for the lawyers, playing the role of the reluctant husband forced to leave his unstable wife. He had no idea that Maya had recorded every conversation he'd had about her. Of course, Maya replied, keeping her voice small and hurt. I just want what's best for our child. Derek's lawyer slid another document across the table. This is the custody arrangement. Mr. Hayes will have primary custody, with supervised visitation for you until after the baby's birth. Supervised. Maya looked shocked, though she'd expected this. Given your recent emotional instability, Derek said gently, we think it's safer this way. Maya bit her lip and signed the papers. Derek relaxed, thinking he'd won. What Derek didn't know was that Maya had spent the last week systematically destroying his life from the shadows. The fake algorithm files she'd planted on his computer had worked perfectly. Sophia had stolen them and passed them to Nexus Corp, who had wasted millions trying to implement code that would never work. More importantly, Maya had leaked Nexus's timeline to the FBI's corporate espionage unit. When Nexus tried to release their version of Derek's facial recognition software, they'd be walking into a federal investigation with stolen code that didn't even function. I've arranged for you to stay at the Morrison Hotel until you find a new apartment, Derek said, sliding a credit card across the table. This should cover your expenses. Maya pocketed the card, knowing Derek thought he was being generous. He had no idea she could buy the entire hotel chain without touching her main accounts. Thank you, Maya whispered. You're being so kind, considering everything. Derek actually looked guilty for a moment. Maya wondered if some part of him remembered loving her, or if that had been an act from the beginning. I'll have your things packed and sent over, Derek said. You should rest. The stress isn't good for the baby. Maya nodded and left the law office, playing her part perfectly. She took a taxi to the Morrison Hotel, checked into the penthouse suite Derek's credit card couldn't actually afford, and waited. James Wong arrived an hour later with a briefcase full of documents. It's done, James said. Every shell corporation dissolved, every investment account closed. As far as the financial world knows, Maya Chen is worth exactly what Derek thinks she's worth. And the new identity, M. Chen Enterprises now owns 68% of Derek's company, plus controlling interests in half his major clients. But the ownership is buried under so many legal layers that it would take months to trace. Maya smiled grimly. So when Derek tries to go public, he'll discover that his mysterious investor has very specific requirements for how the company operates, requirements that don't include stealing technology or hiring corporate spies. What about Sophia? James's expression hardened. The FBI raided Nexus Corp this morning. Sophia was arrested trying to board a flight to Singapore. They found the stolen algorithms on her laptop. Maya felt a surge of satisfaction, followed immediately by sadness. She'd won this battle, but the war was far from over. Derek will blame me when his IPO falls apart, Maya said. Let him. You have enough evidence to destroy him completely. The recordings, the financial fraud, the corporate espionage. He's looking at serious prison time. Maya walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. I don't want to destroy him. James, I want him to understand what he's lost. Maya. He's still my baby's father. Prison would just make him a victim. I want him to know exactly what he threw away when he chose greed over love. James studied her carefully. What are you planning? Maya turned back to him. And James saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before. Not anger or hurt, but the cold calculation of a woman who'd learned to think 10 moves ahead. I'm going to give Derek exactly what he always wanted, Maya said. The chance to prove he's worthy of success on his own merit. And if he fails, Maya's smile was sharp as a blade, then he'll finally understand who he really married. The IPO presentation was supposed to be Derek's moment of triumph. Maya watched from the back of the crowded conference room as her husband took the stage, confident and charismatic in his perfectly tailored suit. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek began, today I'm going to show you the future of security technology. Maya's hand rested on her belly, now prominently rounded at 7 months. She'd made sure Derek knew she was attending, playing the role of the supportive ex-wife who still believed in his success. Derek clicked to his first slide, the facial recognition software Maya had developed. This revolutionary algorithm can identify individuals with 99.7% accuracy, even in crowded environments. The investors leaned forward, interested. Maya knew most of them personally, though they had no idea the quiet, pregnant woman in the back row controlled more wealth than anyone in the room. The applications are limitless, Derek continued. Airport security, law enforcement, retail loss prevention. We're looking at $1 billion market. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from James Wong. FBI is in position, ready when you are. Derek was explaining the technical specifications of Maya's algorithm when the conference room doors opened. 3 federal agents in dark suits entered quietly, followed by a stern-faced woman Maya recognized as Assistant Director Sandra Mills. Excuse me, Director Mills said, her voice cutting through Derek's presentation. I'm afraid we need to interrupt. Derek froze mid-sentence. The investors began murmuring nervously. Mr. Hayes, Director Mills continued, we have a warrant to search these premises for evidence of corporate espionage. I don't understand, Derek said, but Maya could see the panic in his eyes. Nexus Corporation was raided yesterday. We discovered stolen proprietary technology that appears to have originated from your company. We need to examine your systems to determine if there was a security breach. Maya watched Derek's face go white. He was remembering Sophia, remembering the access he'd given her, realizing his mistake. Of course, Derek said, trying to recover. We're happy to cooperate with any investigation. But Director Mills wasn't finished. We also need to examine the original development files for this facial recognition software. The patent applications show some irregularities. Maya stood up slowly, her movement drawing attention. Derek saw her, and his expression shifted from panic to confusion. Actually, Maya said clearly, I can help with that. The room fell silent. Maya walked to the front, her pregnant form commanding unexpected attention. Maya, Derek said carefully, this isn't the time. Oh, I think it's exactly the time, Maya replied. She turned to address the room. My name is Maya Chen, and I'm the original developer of the facial recognition algorithm Mr. Hayes has been presenting. The investors began talking at once. Derek stared at Maya in shock. "That's impossible," Derek said. "Maya, you don't understand the technical—" "I have a PhD in artificial intelligence from MIT," Maya said calmly. "I wrote the original code 3 years ago. I can prove it." Director Mills stepped forward. "Mrs. Chen, are you saying this technology was stolen?" "Not stolen," Maya said. "Given freely to my husband, who I trusted to present it ethically." Maya pulled out her laptop and connected it to the presentation system. Derek's slides disappeared, replaced by Maya's original development files, complete with timestamps and version histories. "As you can see," Maya said, clicking through the code. "The algorithm was developed over 18 months, beginning before Mr. Hayes even founded his company." The investors were staring at the screen in fascination. The code was clearly advanced, far beyond what most of them could understand, but the development timeline was undeniable. "Maya," Derek said desperately, "we developed this together. You helped me. But no, Derek." Maya's voice was steady, calm. "You presented my work as your own. You gave access to corporate spies. You violated every principle of ethical business." Director Mills was taking notes. "Mrs. Chen, are you the legal owner of this intellectual property?" "I am." Maya clicked to another screen showing patent applications filed under her maiden name. "I'm also the majority shareholder of this company, though Mr. Hayes was unaware of that fact." The room erupted. Derek looked like he was going to collapse. "The question now," Maya said, addressing the investors directly, "is whether this company can continue operating under new management." Maya had orchestrated every moment perfectly. Derek's betrayal was exposed, his stolen algorithm revealed, his corporate espionage connections documented, but Maya wasn't interested in revenge. She was interested in justice. "Mr. Hayes," Maya said, turning to her husband, "you have a choice. You can face federal charges for facilitating corporate espionage, or you can accept that your role in this company is over." Derek's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Maya addressed the investors one final time. "This technology has the potential to change the world, but it needs to be in the hands of people who understand the responsibility that comes with that power." She disconnected her laptop and walked toward the door, her pregnancy making each step deliberate and powerful. "Maya," Derek called out desperately, "you can't do this. What about our baby? What about us?" Maya paused at the door and looked back at the man she'd once loved. "There is no us. Derek, there never was." Maya's contractions started during Derek's arrest. She was in her new office, watching news coverage of the FBI raid on Derek's company, when the first wave of pain hit. James Wong immediately called an ambulance, but Maya insisted on finishing the call with her lawyers first. "The corporate espionage charges will stick," her attorney said over speakerphone as Maya breathed through another contraction. Derek's cooperation with Sofia Martinez is well documented. He's looking at 5 to 10 years. "And the custody arrangement?" Maya asked, gripping the desk as the pain intensified. "Void. A federal felon can't claim parental rights over fitness concerns. You'll have full custody." Maya closed her eyes in relief. Her baby would be safe. The ambulance ride to the hospital felt surreal. Maya had spent months planning Derek's downfall, but she'd never imagined it would coincide with their child's birth. Labor lasted 14 hours. Maya refused all visitors except James, who sat quietly in the corner handling phone calls while Maya focused on bringing her son into the world. Noah Chen was born at 6:23 a.m. on a Thursday, weighing 7 pounds and 2 ounces. When the doctor placed him in Maya's arms, she felt a completeness she'd never experienced with Derek. "He's perfect," Maya whispered, studying Noah's tiny face. He had Derek's eyes but Maya's stubborn chin. "The press is going crazy," James said softly. "Derek's arrest, the corporate espionage scandal, the mysterious pregnant wife who turned out to be a tech genius. You're the story of the decade." Maya looked down at Noah, who was sleeping peacefully despite the chaos his birth had created. "Set up interviews with TechCrunch and Wired," Maya said. "It's time to tell the real story. Maya, you just gave birth. You should rest." "I've been resting for 3 years, pretending to be someone I wasn't. I'm done hiding." The hospital room was filled with flowers from investors, clients, and tech executives who'd suddenly realized Maya Chen was someone they needed to know. But Maya only cared about the small bundle in her arms. Derek called that afternoon from jail. Maya almost didn't answer. "Maya." Derek's voice was broken, desperate. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Maya held Noah closer. "Are you sorry you betrayed me? Or sorry you got caught?" "Both. Neither. I don't know." Derek was crying. "Can I see him? Please, he's my son too." Maya looked at Noah's peaceful face and felt a surprising wave of sadness. Not for Derek, but for the father Noah would never have. "You made your choices, Derek. Now you live with them. Maya, please, I love you. I've always loved you." "No," Maya said firmly. "You loved my money. You loved the idea of controlling me. You never loved me." She hung up and turned off her phone. James returned with coffee and a stack of legal documents. "Derek's lawyer wants to negotiate a plea deal. Full confession in exchange for reduced sentence. Let them negotiate. I'm done caring what happens to Derek Hayes." Maya had been thinking about the future during labor, planning the next chapter of her life. Noah deserved a world where intelligence was valued over manipulation, where women could be powerful without hiding it. "I want to start a foundation," Maya said, "for women in tech, especially those who've been victims of corporate espionage or domestic abuse." "Maya, and I want to release the quantum AI system, open source, free to anyone who wants to use it for good." James stared at her. "That technology is worth billions." "Exactly. Derek taught me that some things are more valuable than money." Maya looked out the hospital window at the city skyline. Somewhere out there, other women were hiding their intelligence, diminishing themselves to make their partners feel important. Maya was done with that world. Noah stirred in her arms, his tiny hand grasping her finger with surprising strength. Maya smiled, seeing her own determination reflected in her son's grip. "What are you thinking about?" James asked. "The future," Maya said. "Noah's going to grow up in a world where brilliance isn't something to hide." She kissed her son's forehead and began planning the empire she would build for him, not in secret this time, but boldly, proudly, and completely on her own terms. Derek had tried to steal her life's work and destroy her confidence. Instead, he'd taught her the most valuable lesson of all: she didn't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. 6 months after Noah's birth, Maya stood before a packed auditorium at Stanford University, delivering the keynote address at the Women in Technology conference. Her son slept peacefully in a carrier against her chest as she spoke to 500 of the most brilliant women in Silicon Valley. "For 3 years, I pretended to be less intelligent than I was," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the auditorium. "I hid my achievements, diminished my contributions, and let someone else take credit for my work. I thought that was love." The audience was silent, hanging on every word. "I was wrong. Love doesn't ask you to become smaller. Love celebrates your brilliance and encourages you to shine brighter." Maya clicked to her next slide, showing the logo of Chen Technologies, her new company. Today, I'm announcing the launch of the Maya Chen Foundation for Women in Tech. We'll provide legal support for women facing corporate espionage, financial backing for female entrepreneurs, and most importantly, a community where brilliance is celebrated, not hidden. The applause was thunderous. Maya saw tears in many faces, recognition from women who'd faced similar struggles. The Foundation's first initiative is releasing the quantum AI security system as open-source technology. This system, worth an estimated $3 billion, will be freely available to any organization committed to ethical technology practices. James Wong, watching from the side of the stage, smiled proudly. Maya had insisted on giving away her most valuable creation, believing that security technology should protect people, not enrich corporations. But most importantly, Maya continued, looking down at Noah, I want to build a world where my son grows up knowing that intelligence comes in many forms, that brilliance knows no gender, and that the most attractive quality in any person is authentic respect for others. After the speech, Maya was surrounded by reporters, investors, and aspiring entrepreneurs. Everyone wanted to know about her plans, her technology, her remarkable transformation from hidden genius to industry leader. Mr. Chen, a reporter called out. Have you spoken to your ex-husband since his conviction? Maya's expression remained composed. Derek had been sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for corporate espionage. He'd tried calling several times, but Maya had blocked his number. Derek Hayes is Noah's biological father, and someday my son may choose to have a relationship with him, Maya said carefully. But that will be Noah's decision to make when he's old enough to understand the circumstances. Do you regret the marriage? Maya considered the question seriously. I regret hiding who I was. I regret believing that love required sacrifice of self, but I don't regret the experience, because it taught me the difference between being loved for who you pretend to be and being loved for who you actually are. That evening, Maya returned to her new penthouse apartment overlooking San Francisco Bay. The space was nothing like the careful domesticity she'd created for Derek. This was her sanctuary, filled with cutting-edge technology, comfortable furniture, and photographs of Noah at every stage of his young life. James joined her for dinner, as he did most evenings. Their relationship had evolved from business partnership to something deeper, though they both pretended not to notice. The foundation received $50 million in donations today. James reported over Chinese takeout, and 12 major tech companies want to license the quantum AI system. License to whom? Maya asked, feeding Noah his bottle. Companies with ethical track records, full background checks, commitment to data privacy, agreement to use the technology for security rather than surveillance. Maya nodded approvingly. She'd learned to be careful about who she trusted with her innovations. There's something else, James said carefully. Derek's lawyer called. He wants to arrange a video call so Derek can see Noah. Maya looked down at her son, who was staring at her with Derek's intelligent eyes but her own determined expression. Not yet, Maya said finally. Maybe when Noah is old enough to understand that seeing his father doesn't mean forgiving his father's choices. James nodded. He'd become a father figure to Noah, and Maya was grateful for his steady presence in their lives. Maya, James said softly, you know you don't have to carry all of this alone anymore. Maya met his eyes and saw the question he wasn't quite asking. James had been her anchor through the storm, her partner in building something meaningful from the wreckage of her marriage. I know, Maya said, but I needed to prove to myself that I could. And have you proved it? Maya looked around her apartment, at the successful company she'd built, at the foundation that was already changing lives, at the healthy, happy son in her arms. Yes, she said. I think I have. 2 years later, Derek Hayes was released from federal prison on good behavior. Maya learned about it from a news alert on her phone while she was in a board meeting discussing Chen Technologies' expansion into artificial intelligence ethics. "Excuse me," Maya said to the 12 executives around the conference table. "I need to step out for a moment." Maya walked to her office window, looking out at the San Francisco skyline while reading the article. Derek had served 26 months and was now working at a nonprofit organization that helped formerly incarcerated individuals find employment in technology. Maya's assistant knocked gently. "Ms. Chen, Derek Hayes is here to see you." Maya felt her heart rate spike, but her voice remained steady. "Send him in." Derek looked different. Prison had stripped away his corporate polish, leaving behind someone who looked older, humbler, more human. He wore a simple button-down shirt and jeans instead of the expensive suits Maya remembered. "Hello." "Maya?" Derek said quietly. "Derek." Maya remained behind her desk, maintaining professional distance. "Congratulations on your release." "Thank you." Derek looked around the office, taking in the awards on the walls, the photographs of Maya with tech leaders and politicians, the obvious signs of success. "You've built something incredible here." "We've built something incredible," Maya corrected, gesturing to include her team visible through the glass walls. "Success isn't a solo endeavor." Derek nodded, understanding the implicit criticism. "Maya, I came to apologize. Really apologize. Not just for what I did to you, but for who I was." Maya studied his face, looking for signs of manipulation. Derek had always been charming, convincing, but something in his eyes was different now. "Prison gave me a lot of time to think," Derek continued, "about what I threw away, about the kind of man I want to be. I know I can't undo what I did, but I want you to know that I understand now." "Understand what? That I never deserved you. That you were always the brilliant one, the visionary, the person with real integrity. I was just a parasite feeding off your talent." Maya sat down, gesturing for Derek to take the chair across from her desk. "Why are you here?" "Derek." "I want to see Noah." Maya had been expecting this. "He's 2 years old. He doesn't know you." "I know, but he's my son." "Maya, I've missed so much already." Maya pressed a button on her desk. "Can you bring Noah in, please?" Derek looked surprised. Maya had expected him to fight harder, to demand his parental rights. A few moments later, Maya's assistant entered with Noah, now a confident toddler with Derek's eyes and Maya's stubborn independence. Noah looked curiously at Derek, then ran to Maya. "Mama," Noah said, climbing into Maya's lap. Derek's eyes filled with tears as he watched his son, seeing himself in the child's features but recognizing Maya's strength in Noah's bearing. "Noah," Maya said gently, "this is Derek. He's your daddy." Noah looked at Derek with polite interest, the way he might examine any new adult. Derek was a stranger to him. "Hi, Noah," Derek said softly. "You're so big and so handsome." Noah buried his face in Maya's shoulder, suddenly shy. "He'll warm up," Maya said, though she made no move to encourage interaction. Derek reached into his pocket and pulled out a small carved wooden toy, a simple horse he'd obviously made by hand. "I made this for you, Noah, if you want it." Noah looked at the toy with interest but didn't reach for it. Maya felt an unexpected pang of sympathy for Derek. Whatever else he'd done, he was Noah's father, and she could see genuine love in his eyes. "You can visit him sometimes," Maya said carefully. "Supervised visits, scheduled in advance. But Derek, if you hurt him or disappoint him, if you make promises you don't keep, I will end those visits permanently." Derek nodded eagerly. "I understand." "Maya." "Thank you." I know I don't deserve this chance. You don't, Maya agreed. But Noah deserves the opportunity to know his father, if his father proves worthy of knowing. Derek left the wooden horse on Maya's desk and stood to go. Maya, I want you to know that what you've built here, what you've become, it's extraordinary. I'm proud of you, even though I have no right to be. Maya watched him leave, then looked down at Noah, who was now examining the wooden horse with interest. Dada? Noah asked, pointing toward the door. Yes, Maya said quietly. That was your Dada. Noah seemed to consider this information, then returned his attention to the toy. Maya realized she felt lighter somehow, as if a weight she hadn't known she was carrying had been lifted. Derek's apology wouldn't change the past, but it might help build a different future for Noah. 5 years after Derek's betrayal, Maya Chen stood in the boardroom of the Hayes Tower, the building Derek had never known she owned. The irony wasn't lost on her as she addressed the board of directors of Chen Technologies, now one of the most valuable companies in the world. The Quantum AI Ethics Initiative has been adopted by 47 countries, Maya reported to the 12 board members. We've prevented an estimated 200 cases of corporate espionage and helped prosecute 53 instances of technology theft. James Wong, now officially her business partner and unofficially much more, smiled proudly from his seat at the conference table. Their relationship had developed slowly, built on mutual respect and shared values rather than deception and manipulation. Noah, now 7 years old, sat quietly in the corner of the boardroom, working on a coding project Maya had designed for children. He spent afternoons at the office when school ended, comfortable in the world of technology and innovation his mother had created. The foundation has also provided legal support to over 3,000 women in technology, Maya continued. 60% of our supported entrepreneurs have successfully launched their companies, with a combined valuation of $12 billion. Maya had learned to find satisfaction in these numbers, in the lives changed and careers launched. Success felt different when it was built on helping others rather than hiding from them. Mama, Noah said from his corner, looking up from his tablet. I finished the encryption program. Maya walked over to examine his work. Noah had inherited both parents' intelligence, but channeled it into creation rather than destruction. At 7, he was already showing remarkable aptitude for cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Excellent work, Maya said, ruffling his hair. What do you want to build next? Something that helps people, Noah said seriously. Like you do. Maya's heart swelled with pride. Noah was growing up in a world where intelligence was celebrated, where helping others was valued above personal gain. The board meeting concluded with approval for Maya's latest initiative, a global network of secure communication systems for journalists and human rights workers. The technology would be provided free of charge, funded by Chen Technologies' profits. As the board members filed out, Maya remained at the window overlooking the city. So much had changed since that night she'd first watched Derek give Sophia access to what he thought was his building. Any regrets? James asked, joining her at the window. Maya considered the question. Derek visited Noah twice a month now, supervised visits that had gradually become more relaxed as he proved his commitment to being a better father. He worked at a nonprofit, earned a modest salary, and seemed genuinely committed to making amends for his past. I regret the time I wasted hiding who I was, Maya said. I regret believing that love meant making myself smaller, but I don't regret the journey because it led me here. To running a billion-dollar company, to knowing who I am and being proud of it. Noah looked up from his coding project. Mama, can we go home now? I want to show Uncle James the robot I'm building. Maya laughed. Noah called James Uncle, though everyone expected that would change soon. Maya and James had been talking about marriage, about giving Noah the stable family he deserved. "Of course," Maya said. "But first, I have something to show you both." Maya walked to her desk and pulled out a small wooden horse, the same one Derek had carved for Noah 5 years earlier. Noah had kept it, though he rarely played with it anymore. "I've been thinking about forgiveness," Maya said. "Not forgetting, not excusing, but letting go of anger that doesn't serve us anymore." She handed the wooden horse to Noah. "Your father made mistakes, serious ones that hurt a lot of people, but he's trying to be better now. That doesn't erase what he did, but it might be worth acknowledging." Noah nodded solemnly, understanding more than most 7-year-olds would. "Mama, are you happy now?" Maya looked around her office, at the family she'd built with James, at the company that reflected her values, at the son who was growing up confident and kind. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm very happy." As they left the office together, Maya reflected on the woman she'd become. She was no longer the naive wife who'd hidden her intelligence to make her husband feel important. She was no longer the broken woman who discovered her marriage was built on lies. She was Maya Chen, technology innovator, mother, and leader. She was exactly who she'd always been meant to be. The office key Derek had given to his mistress had unlocked more than just a door. It had unlocked the truth about who Maya really was, and who she was capable of becoming. And that, Maya realized, was the greatest gift Derek had ever given her, even though he'd never intended it as one. Some betrayals, Maya thought as she walked out of the building she'd always owned, are just redirections toward the life you were always meant to live.